Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone was able to rest up, have a good trading morning, get ready for the day ahead, or you know, if you've already had an action-packed morning, maybe you know, hopefully you had a great trading morning. But you know, another grinder in the morning. Really slow price action to start the day off, and this seems to be a pretty common trend. Slow day to start the day off, and then it goes crazy at around 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then, you know, you got to go from there. So right now, at the moment, we are seeing a decent amount of movement. But before we jump on in, as always, make sure to swing it over to slingshotfutures.com, scroll down, and click on the Join the Daily Outlook newsletter. From there, you're going to be able to register for our email newsletter list. You'll be notified every time one of these videos comes out. Along with that, in the email, we talk about a bunch of stuff that we just don't have time to talk about in the live stream. And that's going to be everything from crypto, options, stocks, you name it. It'll be in that newsletter at some point, so make sure to sign up so you don't miss anything. That could be relatively important. Along with that, click on the live trading subscription and trial info, where you can sign up for a free 3-day trial in the room. You can hang out with us for a couple days, ask some questions, see how we approach the market, see how we trade. Even on these slow days, we still definitely find some opportunities. You just have to be patient and, yeah, kind of wait for the market to come to you, I think, more than anything else. But make sure to sign up for the live trading room subscription so you can kind of check us out, get your feet a little bit wet, ask some questions, and have some fun. Let's take a look at the markets. So far on the euro had that beautiful breakdown to major support, a perfect, I mean literally to the tick, perfect test at 18,555, and we started backing up. So that bounce off the support at the lows worked out beautifully for a rally to the upside, allowing some early morning buying volume to kind of kick the market higher. Once we ran into those previous highs, which we have marked here in some blue lines that we marked up earlier this morning in the live trade room, found some nice selling areas up in there and drove the market back down again. So this is what we've been talking about. When we have a move that is way overextended, we've been saying it's overextended for the last probably week now, it just keeps going and going, we need to wait for a corrective phase to sell into. You can't just dive in, slam the sell button, hope it goes farther, basically sell the low, hope it goes farther down. Really tough scenario to put yourself in. So instead, we wait for the plan, wait for the market to come back to us, and then find a nice trading opportunity, and lo and behold, sure enough, worked out beautifully to the downside. Great bearish momentum back to the lows. Not really a whole lot going on, and now likely, if we do push down to a new low, the euro will begin transitioning into more of a range than anything else, back and forth. And really, that's all the buyers could hope for at this point in time. With so much selling pressure, the best the buyers could probably do is going to be a range for a couple days, maybe a week or two, and then start seeing a correction back up further, like a bigger move higher, if the buyers are going to start taking over. Obviously, there's no sign of that right now. Sellers are still firmly in charge, and now looking for, if it does want to go back up to the next area of resistance up around here, and that's going to be, let me see if I can get a line on there, at 19,665. Overall, beautiful play though. Nice bounce off of support directly into resistance and right back down again. Can't ask for much more than that. Going on gold, the market that we can ask for more on. Gold is, oh man, what a train wreck. Gold is just an absolute disaster down here. Now that said, we did originally have our wedge drawn at the lows, and we were talking about breaking down, using it as resistance, and pushing lower. So the trade plan going into last night worked out perfectly. That's exactly what we wanted to see. But man alive, look at this price action on the 4-hour chart. It's just a mess. We're not getting anything done here. We need to see some more movement is really what we need. And until we actually get something, it's just stuck in a range. So pretty easy to see the range. It's not like it takes a rocket chemist to figure that one out. Looking for probably an extension. Let's add a couple more days to this. Let's say next month. We'll add 6, 7. That should increase the range enough. Yep. So looking for overall, you know, the range play, both sides looking really strong and just bouncing off of one another. Obviously, we do have a bear bias to this. The market is falling, so we're looking to sell at better prices, sell at a new high, sell at a trap high, sell at resistance, those kinds of things. For now, we do have resistance at 15.13 that has held so far. The market tried breaking above that, has since failed. We've got about another 50 minutes left, but we'll see what happens. Overall, nice bearish pressure coming off of those areas of resistance, and almost made it up to the next level, which is just above that. There's beginning to get so many resistance levels up here, it's hard to keep track, but 18.1 is the next level above that. That was broken down, also a dash dot line. But it almost made it up to that area before fading back lower. So lots of resistance coming in here. Not a big surprise. Gold selling pretty much every pop that happens and trying to shove the market back down. Who would have thought? We do have a new level of rising support in the way that could definitely cause some issues. And just like we were talking about before over here, we need to see a breakdown before we can find some selling pressure. Now we have a really wide one that we're going to need to see a breakdown of. And the problem is a breakdown would put us smack into support at 1300.9. So it's kind of a situation now where if we do end up back at the lows, I have to start thinking this might be a buying opportunity down here to try to pick up a low, maybe with a slight offset. So the low's at 1302.3. I'm going to chunk 10 ticks off of that and say 1.3 as the area of interest on a breakdown below the low of day. So 1.3 down to the big 1300 level is where we're looking for support going into maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, maybe a month from now. It all depends on how quickly we want to move out of this range-bound garbage here. But once we do, looking for a selling pressure above to push the market back down, and looking for buying pressure below to push the market back up, because again, the anticipation is that this transitions into a range. That's about all we can add for today on gold. Looking over on crude oil. Crude oil, man alive, went flying all the way back up. So not only did we have that beautiful drop off of the highs that we've been waiting for, but we also popped up into that 71.03, and that held the market down for a good 4+ hours, where sellers just kept pushing back off, and every time it tried to make an attempt on it, it just got held off. Now we're finally starting to see a breakout above that, and again, that is the range deviation. We have a range here, deviated higher by 1. It's 1 standard deviation above, and that is where we are finding resistance to push the market back down. Overall, I mean, it's just a beautiful amount of bearish pressure pushing the market lower, and now we are starting to crack above it. And you'll notice we do have a new channel drawn up here, right? We finally subsided to the buyer's side. We lost our ability for the sellers to try to take over. We had a beautiful sell move down that procured a good $2, $3 move lower. That's what we wanted to see, but no follow through. Sellers were just nowhere to be found to drive down to that next support at 67.23, and once again, failure, 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 and failure. Now we're looking for continuation higher. I still want to see a deeper correction, but outside of the one from yesterday, we might just not get it anymore. So overall bullishness to the upside. We are looking to continue this deviating high. Next standard deviation up on the range is going to be a little bit further. Let's mark this higher here. It's not going to let me, huh? All right. Let's see how close we can get this. 73? No. 72.95. 93. There we go. So 72.93 is the deviation high that we're looking at on crude oil for SD2, standard deviation 2 of the range up. Everything's still looking good. The first standard deviation held very nicely. Now we're looking at a secondary one. Of course, a big round number sitting at $70, smack in the middle, long ways away from any other big areas. But notice, we do still technically have some unfinished business up here. This is an unfilled gap at 74.59. 74.59. Man, oh man. Let's go back in time and see where that one comes from. That is an unfilled gap from the 3rd of July, 2015. We have an unfilled gap up at 74.59. We're going to have to start finding some more resistance up here. We're running out of levels. We've got another level of resistance, 77.82. We've got another one up there at 78.35, just to give us some more to work with as price starts climbing here. So next level of resistance above us is going to be at 72.47, and the secondary range deviation up to 72.93. Outside of that, obviously the market is still bullish. We're still grinding higher. I'm not so convinced on this larger bull channel anymore. I think it's gotten a little bit tighter and grinding higher. This could also be a little bit of a kind of a wedge up on top, but one way or another, buyers are still in control, looking for dips to buy into, maybe back to the whole number at 70. Either way, though, buyers are in control. Drop that down here. Now, one side note, while I'm thinking about it on crude oil, if we can't break above 71.03 with a decent amount of conviction, not like this, that's not enough. I want to see a good breakout with what we call white space, right? Now, white space meaning that there is a distance between the levels. See how from this orange level to the candle's low, we've got some distance here? That's empty space. That's white space, right? So if we can start breaking above 71.03 with some empty space, then we could look for a pullback buy off of 71.03 next. But that's really about it. We're kind of on the do or die level right now and see if they can close up or down around this area. Outside of that, might have some issues. We'll have to kind of wait and see. And then over on the S&P seeing a beautiful rally to the upside. Everything is looking, well, pretty good for the buyers. You know, we had a snap above the overall falling resistance area, and it's creating a situation now where, well, there's a decent belief that buyers are probably going to keep this train going. We're in a situation now that we're nearing levels of resistance. We have tested one level already at 26.95. We're now looking for the next one at 26.97. So, you know, the overall bigger picture here is simply that we're looking for a pop into resistance, the bigger one. I mean, it's a give and take relationship. You know, a little bit of a pop into 26.95, finding some resistance there, that's hunky-dory. But I like the big levels, and I want to see a push into that 26.97.25. We're really arguing about 2.25 points. It's not that much when we're talking about a 4-hour chart, but a little bit of a bump higher to 26.97.25 to see if we can find some resistance off of that to push the market back down again. So far, we are holding a good amount of resistance here at 95. Next one above that 97.25, and then after that, we've got a lot of open space up to the highs of the wedge or channel top, and we also have 27.12 coming across there as well. So depending on when they can get up there, that might be kind of a stacked level of interest to kind of shove the market back down again. We'll have to wait and see, but right now the buyers are firmly in control on the S&P, breaking above the falling resistance and showing great support to the upside. Now we're just waiting to see if they want to continue. Buying pullbacks, and, well, you know, it's still in the back of my mind where I don't really want to see this go higher. I want to see it collapse all the way down below 2,500. We've been saying that for a month now. But these are areas of concern. You know, you got to keep yourself a little bit impartial. Of course, you know, when you have this thing in the back of your head, it's hard to ignore, but the buyers are in control right now, so I am looking for buy-side opportunities. That said, we do have a couple swing highs of interest that are potentially causing some resistance in here as well. So there will be, at minimum, a lot of profit taking on this rally higher. Maybe some new sellers trying to push in. Either way, though, I have to sit on the buy side, even if I don't like it, because, well, this is obviously bullish right now. So everything is looking pretty good there, even though it may not be exactly what I want to see. Oh, well. So that's going to do it for the futures markets. In terms of the news, I thought I had the news open. What happened to my news feed? News feed, hello? Maybe I accidentally closed it. Well, anyway, looking at the news for tomorrow, at 4:30 out of the UK, we have the manufacturing production for March forecasted at negative 0.2%. At 7 o'clock tomorrow out of the UK, the Bank of England inflation report and the interest rate decision forecasted at 0.5%. That's the same as previous. And of course, tomorrow at 8:30, we have the core CPI month over month for April forecasted at 0.2%. It's really about all the news that we have for tomorrow. Early morning session, UK traders are going to have some action, but US side, not a ton to worry about other than at 8:30. So feel free to type in some markets if you want me to take a look at. We'll take a look at our favorites, of course. Let's take a look at, let me zoom this out a little bit. Getting some really good follow through on Twitter today, but again, it's in the back of my head. I can't help it. I see this move up and I'm thinking, well, how long is this going to take until it craps out as well, you know? Every time we've had a bull bar to the upside, it has failed. Now, that said, we're starting to get a lot of bull bars back to back here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now going on 8 bull bars. Even though they're pretty lackluster and they're not the best looking scenario in the world, it's hard to argue with that many bull days. So now I'm on the situation of, well, if it does want to pull back a break below a previous low of day at the round number on 31, looks like that might be a nice area of interest. Not to mention the fact if we go back a little ways here, you can see earlier support down here. The swing low after that failed bounce is right there. They held it here, held it there, held it a little bit as resistance, back and forth a lot around there. Resistance finally breaking above it. That 31 area is looking pretty juicy if we can get a pullback. Excuse me. So looking for a continuation to the upside on Twitter. Everything is still looking pretty good. It's just a matter of, you know, do they want to follow through, or are they going to have a little bit of a hard time here trying to break higher because, well, that's what's happened every single time so far. They've had a hard time breaking higher. Looking at Boeing. Boeing also seeing some good follow through, getting some news about a couple new airliners and things that they're selling, getting some nice bullishness today. Up, well, almost 2%, 1.8% on the day so far. Beautiful rally higher. We need to break above this 345 area. This 345 area is an absolute pain, and they're going to have to follow through a little bit here if they're going to start breaking above that. They tested into 345 initially, but have failed since then. Now it's just a matter of can they continue this breakout move to the upside. We've been talking about this since 325. Actually, I think at 320. So certainly, you know, up for almost $50 or $25 on that move up to 350 would be phenomenal. Getting that pop above those highs, and if we can start breaking through 345, there's a good chance that we start breaking away and running towards 355, the next level of resistance, and then highs back to 370. So it's looking good, but it needs to follow through here in order for it to really keep going. Take a look at lean hogs. Lean hogs on a daily. Gotcha. I was going to say, if I remember correctly, you like the daily and the monthly. Let's take a look here. My futures alphabet is awful. I've been spoiled with NinjaTrader and Thinkorswim and some of the other ones where I don't have to type in the M's or anything like that. What is MHM? It's June, right? July? I don't know. It's one of those. Well, it's not 7 because that won't let me. So 6. Okay, 6. Okay. Well, we're gonna get it one of these ways. Let's pop up the daily here. And let's take a look at the lean hogs. Now, the lean hogs are... It's one of those situations where it's a persistent bear trend, right? And that's something that we need to consider, is that we do have a long-term bear trend that's been going lower and arguably doesn't look half bad. You know, especially when we pair it up with a channel, we can see they got a little bit overzealous down at the lows, and they held support on the retest of the inside of the bottom of the channel. It's a pretty big deal, showing that the buyers are trying to come back in. This drive lower here was heavy, heavy. And whenever I see a drive lower that looks like that amount of aggression starts making me think, this might be a little overdone. We might be looking at a situation that is actually exhausted. They've done too much too quickly, and they need to kind of come back and correct. That's kind of what we're seeing right now. One of two scenarios that I can see happening here when it comes to lean hogs. Either we get into the situation where we try to break down, it runs into previous support around 102, fails that breakdown lower into that support once again, just like it did over here, and then reverses back up with a big rally towards 118 to 120. That's situation one. Now keep in mind it's the daily chart, we're talking long term here. The other thing that we need to keep an eye on is the potential of this collapsing all the way back down through the lows. If this does start turning down and we run into this support and it's non-existent, or it only holds for a little bit and then breaks down, chances are we're going to have a huge amount of support below this low. Now, I'm not looking at, you know, if I were looking at a daily buying opportunity here, I wouldn't be saying, oh man, you know, I've got to buy this thing heavy duty. No. I'm not looking at it in that sense. More so what I'm looking at is an offset of the lows, right? So we know that the initial failure when the market came down to these lows snapped off of that bottom pretty aggressively, and it left behind a pretty big wick. We can utilize that wick as a measurement feature to copy that wick, right? Measure that wick up with a box so we can see the failure distance and then offset that on the lows. This is the area that I want to find support in, and the closer to the low, the better. So that's going to be the area, if it does break down to the lows, that I would want to see hold up. Now, of course, again, like we've been saying, we do have a couple levels of support that could potentially prop the market up for a failure. That's going to be around that 102 to 101 area. That's where it's going to run into some support. And if it does start breaking through that, break through, use it as resistance, maybe a breakdown. But there's a lot of problems. Again, not only do you have support here, but you have support on the wedge, or the channel low as well. So there's just a lot of stuff in the way for lean hogs. And that's what makes me think, even if it does make it to a new low, it's going to be a huge long-term buying opportunity. Overall, though, you know, right now it's really consolidated. Every single time they have an attempted move in one direction or another, it seems to fail. It does have a slight upward bias to it, and until we can start breaking down some of this rising support inside of here, I have to give it at least a slight bull edge. And even if it does break down, honestly, I still have a bull edge on it. I think the buyers have a better argument in the long term. But for right now, you know, exhausted blow off on the lows, looking for a pullback retest of at least the swing lows, maybe a test of the channels to find some buying pressure inside of here, scaling in potentially, you know, building positions long, you know, I mean, think Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, the big traders, right? Building into positions on these lows and then looking for a blow off on the bottom to add into the final position for a rally up over the next year or two. It could even be a little bit longer than that. So it looks really, really good on the daily chart. And then again, since we did this last time, we'll look at the monthly chart as well to see if it gives us any clues in terms of what to expect here. Keeping an eye on a couple different stocks. MDXG, that's Michael Delta X-Ray Gamma with a, man alive. There's no shares to short, so there's nothing I can really do about it. But man alive, I would love to sell everything on MDXG. There's no shares. Oh well. Nothing I can do for now. Just waiting for the monthly chart to load up here. At some point this century. Get the caffeine going. Where's the port that I pour it into for the computer? Any day now. Oh, hey, there we go. All right, so the monthly doesn't help us out a whole lot. It's the same picture. Not really much we can do here. If anything, I mean, honestly, this looks like a pretty heavy attempted reversal off of the lows, buying in deep, you know, a 786, something like that. retest of the previous inside swing. Lots of support coming in at that. And, I mean, of course, 100 right in the middle of it all. Yeah, waited for all that time for the monthly chart for nothing. I think the analysis from the daily, that's really what I'm looking for in lean cattle. You know, it's the way that this looks right now. I want to see an attempted breakdown into support back towards 100, find a bounce, and look for a rally back up. Looking good. So again, feel free to type in any markets that you want me to take a look at for you, and then we will go from there. This crude oil's just riding the struggle bus right now at 71.05. Yeah, no problem. Fingers crossed we can actually get a moving morning tomorrow instead of completely dead until 11 and then it wakes up, right? S&P rallying back up towards 26.95, 97 and a quarter is next area of resistance. Oh, there we go. Big seller stacking up on the highs too, 26.95. Could be interesting. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions come in or any other markets come in, so that's going to do it for today. Overall, a beautiful movement. I certainly cannot complain about you know, the markets today, and you just had to be a little bit patient. You know, that's really what it came down to is patience pays, and well, that was another example, just like yesterday, that it definitely is the case. Trump kind of shook the markets up a little bit, but now it's just a waiting game to see what wants to come to us, so we can find some more trades. Like we always say, though, it doesn't matter what market you're trading. Always make a plan, trade the plan, follow those rules, and you'll be a-okay. If I miss any of your questions, feel free to send it to me in an email, jbrink@slingshotfutures.com. Don't forget to subscribe underneath the video. Click the little bell icon to the right of that, or right of that, and you'll be notified every time we go live. We go live Monday through Thursday, so we'll be live tomorrow as well at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. But aside from that, rest up, enjoy. Hopefully you have had a great training morning, and hopefully if you are going to be keeping on the trading bus going into the afternoon, that you have a good trading afternoon as well. Yeah, that's going to do it for today. So rest up, enjoy, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks. Have a good one.